This is the Flathead Valley Sports Haven, a brand new segment where I focus on current and former Flathead Valley area players, coaches, and sports figures, highlighting the best athletics the Valley has to offer. I'm your host, Cole Havens, and today in studio I have the head coach of the Whitefish Bulldogs, Brett Bollweg. Coach, thanks for joining me before the season gets going.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me, Cole.
Let's just start off with how exciting is it that the season is finally here?
It's mid-August, which means it's football season. Some people still think that's summer, but it's football season. And, it's always exciting to get things going, get guys back in the locker room, have the smell show up again, and just enjoy being around those guys.
Well, let's go ahead and kick off with a little season preview here. Let's start with the reclassification. So last year it was announced by the MHSA that Class A football is going back to quadrants: Northwest, Southwest, Northeast, Southeast. Going back to that instead of doing just East-West. Take me through, I think you were a component of going back to this. What do you like most about this? Why do you like maybe this better than just East-West?
Just so much of the maybe inequities of scheduling became really challenging when it was East-West. You'd be playing these teams and they wouldn't be playing those teams. You're voting on kids at the all-conference meeting that you never even saw play. You never even saw film on them because you just didn't cross over games. And then, of course, the travel time. I mean, for us to be able to have our guys in school more, doing the things they're supposed to be doing instead of on a bus, traveling across the state for a conference game, is just nice. And in fact, it sure helps just with their mindset. We can be more routine about things. And on top of that, we were driving past we never played Libby in the last handful of years. That just kind of hurts my heart a little bit because it's one of those traditional games that is always fun to play those guys, and the long-time rivalry and the long-time games that we've had forever with schools that you don't get to play. It's just fun to be able to have that consistency.
Speaking of old-time rivalries, how about right off the get-go, Havre is back on the schedule. Yeah. I know that is... Just anyone I talk to, they're so excited to hear that it's Whitefish versus Havre to open the season. It's the Railroad Trophy. It's the traveling trophy and everything. Talk to me about just how exciting is it to have Havre back on the schedule, albeit it's a Friday night instead of a Saturday afternoon like it used to be, but it's still Whitefish Havre to kick off the year.
Absolutely. It's really exciting. I think the Havre game was such a fun when I first moved here and started to learn more and more about this game and how it always happened, and the 0 week, and just exciting to play. Those guys got a great thing going over there. Coach Eldridge does a nice job, and think highly of him. And it's going to be a great battle for us right out of the chute too. They're a team that I expect to compete at the highest level this year in Class A, and so it's going to be a great challenge for us to try and match what they're doing. They went a step farther than us last year, and we're trying to get to that point and get over the hump a little bit. And to have those guys week one is going to be fun, and it's going to be a tough one for sure. And I'm looking forward to that challenge for our guys. And yeah, that trophy is it's a cool thing. I mean, anytime you have a trophy game, it's something a little bit more and something a little special, even if they don't really understand the whole history of it. It's cool.
I was going to say, yeah, it's those. I mean, you go back to it. The old school railroad towns, may not look Whitefish as what it is now, but I mean that's what it's built on, is the railroad. The foundation of Whitefish started out on the railroad. You got a lot of people that travel between Whitefish and my grandpa worked on the railroad. I mean, he loved this game. I mean, I feel like that just kind of seeing that just gives you a little extra juice, knowing, hey, we got a state semifinal team from a year ago, and this is a game where there's a little more to it than maybe some of those other non-conference ones.
Always. You get it anytime you can put two teams that are used to each other, and we had so many good years of playing those guys, and I'll never forget the year that we knew that we were going to be done playing them, and we lost to them. We had the trophy for 5 or 6 years in a row, and then we lost to them and had to give the trophy back, and it sat in their trophy case for years and years because we never had a chance to get it back, and then we got a chance to play them in the playoffs. So I'm just excited about bringing this whole thing back and talking to Coach Eldridge, and administratively, I think everybody was really excited to bring it back.
Well, continuing on here with a little season preview for you guys. I know practice gets underway Friday, but the talk of the town since last year's season ended has basically been who's going to be the starting quarterback. It sounds like it's kind of a two-person battle right now between Luke Dalen and Bear Barker. Obviously, you got time before you have to name a starter, but take me through what are you kind of expecting from this quarterback battle? What do you want to see from the two of them?
I am excited to watch competition. In our small Class A schools, there's a lot of times where we don't get the opportunity for two guys to really work hard on the same team against each other. And not that they're working against each other, they're buddies and they're going to cheer for each other. But at the same time, competition is going to breed more good stuff. And between those two guys competing with each other, I'm excited to see how they rise to certain occasions, how they fit into our schemes, how we can scheme around those two guys specifically. And they're not completely different players, which makes it nice, especially for our play callers, to not have to kind of have two whole scripts. But at the same time, we had a chance to see what both of them can really utilize best in their skill sets. And having any chance we can get guys competing for time, it's going to be positive in the end run, because it's going to make both guys sharper. It's going to make both guys better. You got to practice a little harder. You got to be a little bit more on top of your game. You got to prep a little bit better. And at the end of the day, that's going to help us be successful on the field as a team.
I think this will be a question that a lot of Whitefish fans want to know. Obviously, we probably won't have an answer till we lace them up on Friday night, but how imperative do you think it is to have one of them win the job before that Havre game, or do you think you'll go into weeks 1 and 2 maybe doing the 2-quarterback system?
I have no expectations, and I can say that really clearly and peacefully. I am excited to see what happens, and we're going to allow both those guys every opportunity to win the job. At the end of the day, one is going to win the job at some point, and one might win half the time job. And it might be a 50-50 split. It might be we as coaching staff this is what's going to happen. And it gives us a lot of freedom in that too. We might end up going into game one and they play 50-50. We might end up going into game one and one plays all the plays. We have no expectations. And that's a good spot to be, not hamstring ourselves into something that we don't need to.
One thing, too, that I've been noticing, and just like with talking to people, though, it seems like whoever wins the starting quarterback job, the other one's going to probably be the starting safety. It seems like they're going to play regardless.
Yeah, we're a Class A football team. Our guys are going to play. I tell everybody that our guys are our guys, and if you've earned a spot on the field, we're going to make it work for you. And we're going to put our best 11 on the field, whatever that looks like in that situation.
Another position group that I'm actually really looking forward to is the O-line and D-line group as well. You bring back, 4 of your 7 starters, or I guess you had basically 7 that rotated along, 5 that kind of grabbed the job, but you got a good core that comes back on the O-line. How imperative is it that you have a chunk of linemen that have been together for a couple of years now that have that chemistry together? How much are you looking forward to that?
There are very few times in my 19 years now in Whitefish that I can say, man, I am excited to watch our O-line go. And this is going to be one of them. They are a great group of dudes that love work, which is awesome. And to see them kind of gel together, even in our meetings this morning, talking with the coaches and, okay, we can accelerate things a little bit more because our O-line is really well versed. They know what they're doing. We'll be able to hit the ground running here as opposed to backtracking to make sure we got everybody up to speed. When you have a core of any position that has solidified and understands what they're doing, it just makes things so much easier on us as coaches to be able to go, what can we tweak to make better instead of kind of just getting ourselves to the next point.
And it starts at the O-line, D-line. You look at the NFL, it starts in the trenches. In college, it starts especially in high school. Having that locked in's got to be huge, because then you can move on to the skill positions, the running backs, the receivers, the quarterbacks. Very much so.
If we can get an offensive line, if we can get 5, 6, 7 guys that are functioning at a high pace, gosh, we've played a lot of games with guys that didn't really want to be in the O-line and, thought it was what's best for the team. And this is not that group of guys. They're bought into being those guys and they love it. And like I said, that's pretty few and far between for us in Whitefish.
And then how about the depth overall for Whitefish Bulldog football this year? You look at every position, wide receiver 6, 7 deep, safety probably 4 or 5 deep, DB 6 or 7 deep, a good core of linebackers, running backs, obviously. It seems like this is the deepest Whitefish maybe have been in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's a good question. It always comes out, in the fall. I'll let you know how deep we are in a few weeks. Once we get games rolling and we get guys on the field, laced up with pads on and things popping, and then all of a sudden we'll get to really know how deep we are.
I think it kind of starts, though. I mean, I had Cole Moses on a couple weeks ago talking about it. I mean, to mention him just a little bit, just because Riley Zatuni, we know what kind of year he had last year. Cole Moses might be one of the best all-around running backs I've seen at the high school level, from the fact that he can catch, he can block, he can run, he's got speed, and the patience that he shows. To have him in that running back room leading the way, what's that going to be like?
More importantly than that, Cole's a phenomenal human being. He's a kid who has perspective on life. He has goals for himself and for others, and he puts other people before himself. And for that reason, he's going to end up being okay whether football's part of the equation or not. He really understands a lot of the values that we think are most important in our program, and a great leader in that. He's voted a captain again this year, and I'm excited for him for that. And he's going to have a big year ahead, and I'm excited to watch him on the football field. I'm more excited to watch him go on to his next endeavors, whatever that looks like, because they're going to be awesome.
Well, now let's go into this aspect. We'll kind of change gears here and take a look at 10 years ago, Whitefish football won the Class A state title only 2 times, right, in Whitefish football history, 1979 and 2015. What's it going to be like to be able to honor that 2015 team again here this year?
It's exciting. Those guys, special groups come around every once in a while. That for sure was one of them. And you just think about all the components that went into that season, and the people and the parents and the community and everybody. Coach Ross leading us the whole way, and just how special that is. Like I was telling you earlier, Luke May got married this summer, and we went to his wedding. We got invited to his wedding, which is such a great compliment. And it was like a reunion party. It was awesome. Our wives kind of sat there with each other, and they let us have fun with all the old players. And so it was great to see all those guys, and they left their mark on our program. And we talk about that type of stuff. What kind of legacy are you going to leave behind when you go? Is it going to be one that did things the right way? Is it going to be one that just won games? Is it going to be something that put other people first? And those guys did a lot of those things that set us on a trajectory that Coach Ross had put out for them, and they owned it and took it all the way, which was so cool. And what a special season and special group of kids, and just a fun memory to look back on and a fun goal to aspire to.
What was it for you like coaching that group? At what point did you as a coaching staff realize, hey, we've got something special here. We could potentially win this thing?
We knew early on when those guys were in high school that they were going to be good. We had several guys playing. I can think about actually the Havre game we played on Saturday morning at home, and we had a freshman quarterback. Jed Nagler ends up, I think, having a pick six or a scoop and score fumble return as a freshman. And a couple of these guys that played major roles on our team early, which is not what we want, nor typical, but they stood out in that fashion. There's a moment in the summertime that sticks out to me and always will, that when our guys took ownership and our guys took the lead on the whole program, and the coaches got a chance to step out of the way and they decided how good they wanted to be. That was the difference in that season, when they were willing to step out of their comfort zone and hold each other accountable and not wait for us to be the ones that pushed each other. That moment will always stick out.
I believe you beat Dillon in the championship. That was Troy Anderson's, I think, junior or senior year.
Junior year.
And to be able to knock off a team like Dillon in the championship, I believe, if I remember right, because my dad's told me this, basically the entire 79 championship team was at that game. My dad told me that's one of top 3 happiest moments in his entire life. To be able to have the support, though, from the other championship team, to have basically that entire team there, what does that speak to the volumes of what Whitefish football does for a community?
We try and help our guys understand what it means. It's easy for us old guys to look back on high school and think about good times and the people we got to spend it with. But for them to be able to understand, no, this is way bigger than you. You're representing not just your school right now, not just the 2025 Bulldogs, you're representing all the people that have gone before you in green and gold. A lot of those guys, your dad and others, had some great words for the team before the game, which was awesome. And to know that the community, I think Miss Blackburn and a couple other teachers rode a couple of student buses down from Whitefish to Dillon and back in the day just to watch the game. And we had as many people at that game as I've ever seen. And it was just the atmosphere and the excitement around it all was just super special. And to have all of those guys, our community behind us, was something that, I'd love to not call it a once in a lifetime opportunity, but at this point it is for a lot of the guys. And so our goal is, of course, to help our guys now have a once in a lifetime, and next year's to have a once in a lifetime, and all of those things, and to help them kind of jump on the ship with what that looks like.
Obviously, you win a state championship, you're always going to be regarded as one of the best of all time. Us in the media like to rank champions throughout history and everything, but aside from that, just how good was that team? I mean, you think about state champion, but you knocked off kind of David versus Goliath. I mean, no one's picking against Dillon. How good was that 2015 team really?
Gosh, they were special. We set the state record in rushing yards allowed, which is still standing. We had our Haley was in the record books a couple times for PATs, consecutive PATs. We scored points just in crazy bunches early. The confidence that those guys played with allowed us the opportunity to be creative as coaches, and allow creativity within the guys. And they understood the whole picture of the offense, the defense, the special teams. Having Brian Fauntleroy in the secondary, we could have just stepped out and let him call the whole defense type deal. Chaffin Ross up front, we used to joke that he was the claw with his long arm making sacks. Alex Curry, who, what a special and unique human that guy is. But he was just a terror. And, from Chris Park to Luke May, Jed, Travis Katina, all these guys, I could go down the list of guys that made impact plays, top to bottom, and it was a team and collective deal. And there wasn't selfishness. There wasn't me first. There was, we are going to do this. And they knew that early on, and they had a mindset that way.
And then also something else I want to talk about. I wanted to kind of do a all-time list here of greatest Whitefish High School football players, but I got to do a little more research before I'm even ready for that. I know the 70s team, the late 70s pretty well, but obviously got 80s and 90s. You've been around for 20 years or so. You've been here for a long time. Give me maybe just some of your all-time, whether it's a favorite or a guys that stick out. Who are some of those all-time greats when you hear Whitefish football that you just think of?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
I know there is a lot going back from, because you came in, 05, 06?
07 was my first year coaching here. And, that's when I remember vividly coaching with this group of guys that in the backfield that we called the Convoy, Tanner Benedict and Derek Crittenden and Daniel Simmons. That was a three-headed monster. Tyson Furta, who did so many good things up front for us. I remember trying to tackle him once. I never wanted to do that ever again. Just so many guys that come and go in role players. The Wiley brothers, Callan Howell, Connor Sillick. You just go to. It just kind of keeps unfolding when you said that question. Your mind just starts racing, and I can't. There's not enough time in because it's not what they did on the field. It's the people that they are and the stories that come along with it that we as coaches get to enjoy most. That, hey, remember when so-and-so did this, and remember when this happened, and remember when this kid, and and then they continue. That's the cool part is you hear stories about what guys are doing, or you run into them, or they catch you before a game and they pat you on the back and you're trying to focus on the game, and all of a sudden your attention can leave the game really quickly because you get to catch up for 5 seconds with one of the guys that you just spent so much time caring for and trying to treat the right way. And it's just fun to see those guys move on and do great things in their lives and continue to cheer for us. I think that's one of the things that football is really unique in that for whatever reason, it sticks with you, and the relationships you make and the bonds that you create with the guys that you play with is different than a lot of sports. And that's not to put down or anything, but for whatever reason, and I'm sure I'm biased on that, but these guys have relationships that last a lifetime, and to run into, all these guys at Luke's wedding this summer, it was like it was yesterday. We were out there screaming and kicking them in the butt to get going and things like that. And so it's just fun. It's a fun aspect of the whole game to be able to be a part of it.
Obviously, again, I need to do more research, but how cool would it be to just kind of one of these days sit down and go through, if you're going back to even 50s, 60s, I mean, you got to find the records first and foremost, which is hard enough in its own right. But how cool would it be to see like an all-time like Whitefish High School quarterbacks list? Like, who are the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks to ever play for Whitefish? Who are the top D linemen, linebacker? Like, how cool would it be to just like look at something like that? Because that's something I'm kind of like wanting to do.
It's one of the things that I think is not a regret of mine, but I've always wished that we had, going back from early days, just a good solid record book of, you get a little envious of these new schools that it's easy to pick up and go, hey, we're going to put all this stuff in one spot and we're going to have record books forever. And fortunately, we have a long storied school that we are a part of and get to be a part of. And so those go way beyond us. And like we tell our guys, this is going to go way beyond any of us here. And it's been here for way beyond us. And you get to be a part of it. And your part matters a lot because of those guys, the guys on the 79 team and the old, having Chuck Brown be our guy up in the booth still. He's
one of those guys.
Yep, he cares more about Whitefish football than most people would ever dream to imagine. Not for any reason other than it matters to him. It's part of his upbringing, and he gets to give back in that fashion, and pretty special.
It's funny because, again, I left Whitefish for a while. I kind of came back around. Last year was the first year calling Whitefish football. I forgot how special of Friday Night Lights, there's nothing like it anywhere, but coming back, I forgot how great the pregame was, how great. There's a different feeling in the air when you get to Friday Night Lights here, and I kind of forgot how special it is seeing the kids throwing the football behind the end zones and everything. Chuck Brown, the pregame music that he puts on, it is one of the best settings for a football game that I've seen.
Yeah. I joke with a lot of people that it is about as pure of old school small town football as you can find in the country. I know Mr. Harris loathes all the little kids running around, but I think it's the greatest thing ever. When I first moved here and didn't understand, like, why are all these people so close? And that's their way to experience the game. And, I love it now. Other coaches, they're like, gosh, I hate coming up here because, our fans are right on the field pretty much, kind of like that Washington Grizzly feel. And, there's no track around our field, and that's what makes it special. And it's different than everywhere else we go. There's only a few places left like that. And we love that about it.
Columbia Falls is kind of one of them. They kind of have that kind of similar setting.
Yeah, and they still have the track around, and it's just all of it's. At the end of the day, our student body comes out in droves and supports our guys, which is awesome. There are very few places better than Memorial Field, the Dog Pound on Friday night in Whitefish. To have community members out, after we win a big game, it's amazing how many people shoot me a text message or drop a line to me and just say, wow, that was awesome, way to go. People you wouldn't expect. And it's just fun to be a part of a bigger thing than just what we're doing. It's part of our community.
And then before I let you go, I know this is still a ways out. Obviously going to be getting a new football field here in the next couple of years. How excited are you for the progression and just the development of being able to update the track, being able to have kind of a football field to kind of call your own, if you will? How exciting is it going to be when this new field gets up and going?
I'll let you know after we get through all the construction process. How about that? We got a lot of headaches to deal with and things to manage. When that ground gets broken in March or April, or I think March of this next year, we're going to have a lot of navigating to do. And that's part of the process, right? Growth takes some time, and growth takes some growing pains, and we'll figure it out. We'll be okay. Our guys will be all right. And it'll be nice to not, to play on a level surface and, with some grass under our feet instead of just rocks and dirt. So
Well, Whitefish football just around the corner. First practice on Friday, first game in, 2.5 weeks. It is go time. I hope you guys are ready because I think Whitefish is ready to have football back in town.
I agree. We are ready.
Perfect, Coach. Well, hey, that's going to about do it. Thanks for joining me today. It was a pleasure. Can't wait to get out and practice. And, I'm excited for this season to get going.
Thanks a lot, Cole. Appreciate all you do for us, man.